in late June. So recording will probably be available next week. So first, we did want to just start with a land acknowledgement before we get started with our presentation. So we do want to acknowledge the land that we're gathered on, or we will be when you come to the UC Davis campus. So for thousands of years, this land has been home of the Patwin people. Today, there are 3 federally recognized Patwin tribes, the Cachel-Dihi Band of Wintoon Indians of the Calusa Indian Community, the Quetzal-Dihi Wintoon Nation, and the Yocha-Dihi Wintoon Nation. So the Patwin people have remained committed to the stewardship of this land over many centuries. It's been cherished and protected as elders have instructed the young through generations, and we're honored and grateful to be here today on their traditional lands. Okay, so here's a brief overview of our agenda for today. So we'll be going over all of these things on the screen. I won't read them out because we will be getting to them shortly. So for today's webinar, please submit your questions using the Zoom Q&A feature. You should see a button in your Zoom for Q&A. We won't have the chat enabled just yet until we get to breakout rooms for the major specific information. But any questions that you have, you can submit to the Q&A and we'll get to them towards the end. And you can also review those questions and upvote them if you have the same questions. So be sure to check what questions have already been submitted, and we'll be focused on the ones that have the most upvotes to start off with. We will be adding some helpful links to resources in the chat that we're talking about, so you can also look for the information there. Okay, so for Aggie advising, here's the steps that you'll want to start with as you're getting started at UC Davis. A lot of you have maybe already started some of these, but for those of you that haven't or aren't aware what the steps are, very first one is to create your computing account for UC Davis. So this is what you need to access Aggie 101 and all Aggie advising services. That's basically your email address. And then complete Aggie 101. So that's like an overview of orientation. Basically, that's the first step of orientation, gives you a great overview of the university and what we have to offer. And then the next step would be to complete the College of Letters and Science Canvas advising modules. And you should be getting emails about these things. So just check your UC Davis email regularly. That's where we send all the information. And then we have major Aggie advising. So once you've finished those first 3 steps, that's where your major advising comes in. Today is our group Aggie advising information session. So it's okay if you haven't already done those first 3, but you're here, that's totally fine. But this is your intro to major advising. And then we have appointments available over the summer with one of our major advisors. These are optional, but they're just recommended if you have complex transfer credit concerns or questions about building your schedule. We will be available all summer to help. And then we also have drop-in advising. So if you're not able to make an appointment or you just have some quick questions, we'll be doing that weekly over the summer as well. So that's just for like quick questions or you want to check your schedule. Okay, so here's an overview of what academic advising looks like at UC Davis, because it's probably different from your community college that you're coming from. So advising at UC Davis is something we call decentralized. And what that means is there's at least 2 different offices that you're going to be going to for advising. So whereas your community college probably had 1 advisor that was like kind of a generalist, we have more specialized advising. So the first main office is your major advising office. So that's us. So we can help you with anything related to your major requirements and any minors if they're in our office as well. Recommendations for classes, so selecting classes to complete your major requirements, making an academic plan, things like that. And then also major related research and internships, career exploration. We can be your go-to people for that. And then the other office, the other main office that you'll be advising getting advising from is the college advisors. And this is the dean's office, you might hear the term, or the College of Letters and Science. All of those things are the same group, and that's for college and university requirements. So that's things like your general education or IGETC certification, if you got one of those. We got a lot of questions in our first webinar about IGETC. Those are all going to be going to the College of Letters and Science. So if you have any questions about how to submit it or whether it got created or whether it got like received by UC Davis, send those questions to the College of Letters and Science. They also will advise on your upper division and total unit requirements, your writing requirement, foreign language requirement if you have Bachelor of Arts. And then they also are the ones that would help you with permission to drop. If at some point during your time at UC Davis, you want to drop a class after the deadline, you would talk to them about that as well. And this is kind of a lot of information, but it is covered in those Aggie advising modules in Canvas. So be sure to check there if you're feeling a little lost. They go into a lot of detail there. Okay, and then this is our major advising team. These are our staff advisors that you can make appointments with. Most of them are here today and will be talking to you, so they can introduce themselves there. I'm Jillian. I realized I didn't introduce myself, so I'm there in the yellow. So we're your staff advisors you can make appointments with or see and drop in advising sometimes. And we can be kind of the go-to people for your major requirements, helping you make academic plans. And we can also help direct you to the right place. If you're not sure where to go, you can always start with us. We also have lovely peer advisors. This is our current team of this past academic year. So we have an amazing team that are really well trained about all of our major and minor requirements, resources that are available at UC Davis. And they can really give you a student perspective on classes because these are students in the majors that you're studying. So they are taking some of the classes that you will be taking. They can give you some advice on academic planning and all things like that. And then this is just a view of our wonderful building. We're in Young Hall is where our in-person advising is located. So most of our advising over the summer will be remote via Zoom. But if you have an appointment over the summer or once the academic year starts in person, this is where you'll go. No matter what your major is, you'll see it says psychology on the front, but we do advising for all the majors that we talked about. So Young Hall is your go-to place. Okay, and then I'm going to hand it over to Padone to talk about our majors.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Padone, and I'm also a staff advisor. So it's nice to meet you all here. I will be talking about our majors. And so as you can see here, we do advise for the 4 different majors here for psychology, cognitive science, philosophy, and science and technology studies. I won't read the numbers, but we do serve a lot of undergraduates within the Yale cluster. So just wanted to give a visual for you all, the amount of students that we do serve and also the faculty that we have in our different majors. Next, please. And so within our majors, we do have different emphases that you can specialize in. So you can see on the screen here, we have different options. We have a BS and AB degree options for the different majors. The BS stands for a Bachelor of Science, and then the AB stands for Artium Baccalaureus, which is just the Latin way of saying a Bachelor's of Arts. So for our psychology and cognitive science majors, we do have both a BS and an AB degree option for both of them. The AB options for psychology and cognitive science are more general majors and studies. And then the BS options for both of them, as you can see in psychology, we have a quantitative emphasis and a biology emphasis. For cognitive science, we have for the BS degree, a neuroscience and a computational emphasis. For philosophy and science and technology studies, those majors, we only have an AB degree option. And for philosophy, we have 3 different emphases. So we have a general emphasis and then the pre-medicine and pre-law emphasis. And then science and technology studies, we also have different emphases. as listed here too. So we have a general one, but in addition, we have a law and innovation, health and environment, data and media technologies, and history and philosophy of science. So lots of different choices to choose from. We will be talking and delving a little bit deeper into these different emphases within the major specific breakout rooms. And so feel free to ask us about these different tracks in those breakout rooms as well. So next, please. So some of you might be interested in graduate school and are wondering like if it matters if you should pursue an AB or a BS. And the answer is generally it doesn't matter. You can choose either an AB or a BS. It's actually more imperative that you focus on completing the prerequisite courses that are necessary for those graduate programs that you are interested in. So an AB degree is usually sufficient if you'd rather choose not to do a BS degree. If you are pre-health, completing a psychology BS biology emphasis might be beneficial as it is structured to support you in completing more of the pre-health prerequisite programs or prerequisite courses that you need for those programs. So a strategy we recommend students to become better candidates for graduate programs or graduate school is to gain experiences and participate in extracurricular activities that will help prepare you for those fields. And so trying to get more research experiences and internships. Next slide, please. So there are a lot of majors at UC Davis. And if you decide that one of our majors is not a best fit for you and your career interests, you can change majors. The earliest you can change your major is in winter quarter. That's because you need to have a UC Davis GPA before you can switch. If you are interested in switching or even double majoring, you have to make sure that you understand there might be some additional requirements to declare into that major. So make sure that you do your research and understand declaration requirements if you are looking to switch or double major. And then you can change your major in OASIS. And like we mentioned, the earliest you can do that is in winter quarter. Important note is that you as a transfer student coming into our majors, specifically for psychology and cognitive science, you will be admitted as by default to the BS option. So if you want to do the AB option, that's totally okay. Go ahead and start courses with towards the AB option. You do not have to take any classes towards the BS option. We'll just have you officially changed over in winter quarter. Next, please. So for double majors, if you do plan on double majoring or is interested in it, it's very important that you plan early and that you meet with us to develop an academic plan to see how that'll fit within your graduation plan and timeline. We have a policy that you can overlap no more than 20% of the upper division coursework between the two majors. So that typically comes down to 1 or 2 courses or 4 to 9 units. We can also help you with identifying any overlapping courses as well. So definitely feel reassured that we can do this together. And so you kind of also want to take into consideration, how does the double major align with your career goals? Is it much better if you maybe decide to do a minor if you don't have that much time, depending on the major that you do decide to pursue? There might be more courses that you need to complete within the timeline that you're looking to stay here at UC Davis. And then again, the earliest you can change your major or declare a double major would be winter quarter. Next, please. And so with our department, the Yellow Cluster, we also offer minors. So we do have a psychology minor. We have a philosophy with a logic emphasis minor, and also a history and philosophy of science minor as well. There are other minors that you can definitely take a look at. So you can definitely explore that too if you're interested. But we can also support you with any of our minors listed here too, if you were interested in pursuing them.
Hi everyone, I'm Gratia, and I'm another staff advisor. So I know many of you probably have questions about classes, what you should be taking, or how to create a fall quarter class schedule. So we'll be going over a few like recommendations and guidelines to help you create your fall quarter class schedule. To start, we do have some guidelines. We generally recommend taking anywhere from 12 to 16 units in fall quarter. Keep in mind that 12 is the minimum required to be a full-time student here at UC Davis. So anywhere from 12 to 16. And that's made up of about two classes for your major, and then in addition to 1 to 2 additional classes that will go towards college and university requirements. So these are just general guidelines, but of course you may want to adjust that schedule depending on other commitments that you have, jobs or internship and or research that you are involved in aside from that. And then I also, so UC Davis follows the Carnegie rule, which states that for every 1 unit, students are expected to complete about 3 hours of work every week for that 1 class. So for example, for a 4-unit class, that would be about 12 units a week dedicated towards that 1 class. So if we look at a 16-unit schedule, 16-unit quarterly schedule, that's about 48 hours of studying and class time, both in and out of class per week. So just some things to consider when you are building your schedule. Yeah, so that you find what works best for you. And yeah. And then finally, I also wanted to add that while many of you might be coming from a semester school, at UC Davis, we follow the quarter schedule, which is only 10 weeks long compared to, a semester. So it does tend to be fast paced. So that's something that you should also consider when you are building your fall schedule, so that you, you take into consideration other things that you're involved in and have a schedule that works for you. And then also staff advisors over the summer are creating a suggested academic plan for you. They should be uploaded to your OASIS student records before you do go to register for fall quarter. So stay on the lookout for that. And it's just a suggested plan for you to start. Next slide, please. Okay, so here we have an example of a fall quarter class schedule for a psych major. So this is a 16-unit schedule for a student who has already completed the Psych 41, which is research methods in psychology. We have here Psych 100, which is Intro to Cognitive Psychology. We have Psych 151, Social Psychology. Both of these are major classes. And then they will balance that out with a class towards a minor or upper division units. And then finally, another class that will go towards your unit requirement. So for this example, this is a 16-unit schedule. So we're looking at about 48 hours per week for this schedule. And then one other note that we wanted to make about upper division classes. So you will need to complete some upper division courses, and those are classes numbered between 100 to 199. So for example, Psych 100 and 151, they are both upper division class courses. And then we also have lower division classes are those that are numbered between 1 to 99. So you can find your major requirements on the major worksheets here on our Yellow Cluster website for each of the majors and minors as well. Or you can also use the UC Davis General Catalog. That's a great way to see a list of all the classes offered for each major. And you can also see our requirements such as unit requirements on there as well. And we also have the OASIS degree worksheets that we'll be going over a little bit more into depth later on in the presentation, but those are also a good way to keep track of your major requirements electronically. Next slide, please. So in addition to major requirements, you will also have to complete a few college and university requirements. So for example, all students are required to take an upper division writing requirement. So that's an UWP 101, 102, or 104. And then you will need to take 64 upper division units and 180 total units for graduation. And then if you have an AGETC certificate, this will typically cover the area breadth requirements. So for Bachelor of Science degrees, that includes the 90 units of natural science and mathematics. And for Bachelor of Arts degrees, that includes the foreign language requirement. And for any questions about your college and university requirements, you'll want to reach out to the College of Letters and Science advising office for support with that. And then we also provide this big picture so of things to keep in mind when you are planning your quarterly schedule. So you do want to make sure you are making progress to meet the 180 units to graduate. And then there's also a 225 unit max. And then I think okay, I think that's it.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa Megorian. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm an undergraduate advisor in the Yellow Cluster. And I'll be covering the next set of slides. So some of you have been putting some questions in the chat again about AGETC and your transfer credit. If you haven't already done so, we just wanted to remind you to please send your official transcripts and your AGETC certificate to the UC Davis Undergraduate Admissions Office. They are due July 1st, but if you're struggling to meet that deadline, please know there's a little bit of grace. Just please be in contact with undergraduate admissions about that if you expect your transcripts to be arriving later. And just to share that, that website with where to send the information, we'll go ahead and put this in here. And if you just scroll down, oops, you can see that they have the information on where to send your transcript and your AGETC certificate. So this is the address, or you can send it electronically if your community college has Parchment, Naviance, etc. So we also like to emphasize that nearly all community college classes come in as lower division credit, and lower division courses are not equivalent to upper division major requirements. And so even if a course that you have taken has the same exact title, because it is considered a lower division class at the community college, it does not replace the upper division version at UC Davis. So we like to emphasize that. We can certainly discuss that more in our major specific breakouts, as you know, that's appropriate. If your community college class articulates per assist.org, it will appear on your academic record as the UC Davis course. It's set in parentheses though. So there's just a quick example here. So an equivalent to Psych 1 at UC Davis, which is the general principles of psychology. You may have taken general psych at Sacramento City College, Psych 300. So this is how it's going to appear. And then we have another example from a Woodland Community College. If the course does not articulate to a class at UC Davis, it will show as general transfer credit. So this other example in the gray here is for a beginning chemistry class that a student took at Sac City College, and it's not articulating to anything at UC Davis. So it's just in the parentheses as Chem Transfer 1. So that means you do not have a direct articulated course, and it's just giving you units. So as Katya and others mentioned, we will be helping to do that transfer credit review and to build your academic plans based on that. But if you have taken California Community College, or if you have a class that doesn't articulate, or you've taken classes at a 4-year university and you believe the course is equivalent to a UC Davis course for your major, you can use a couple of tools to check that out. We have a transfer evaluation system to see if there's a pre-approved equivalency. And that is just listed here. And if you kind of scroll down, you can search by institution. You can kind of go through by the institution name and then click on that institution. I'm just going to pull up an example from Arizona State. And looks like it's taking a while to load, but it has all of the courses that have been reviewed over the last so many years. And you can see when the agreement kind of begins and ends as well. So it's good to note when it ends because it's a 5-year window basically that courses are approved for. If there is not a pre-approved equivalency that you see in tests, as we call it, you can certainly submit an equivalency review request for major specific classes on our website. And we'll dive more into our transfer website in a bit, but this course equivalency section of that website has some links to pre-approved course equivalencies across our 4 majors. And in our forms section, you can also request a course equivalency. So it's linked here, but it's also in our forms section of the website as well. So I kind of already covered this slide. I forgot I had it in here separately, but we will be uploading a transfer credit review based on the information that we have for you. And at this point in time, since transcripts are still being received and still being processed by admissions, and that takes a moment, we may not have your final transcripts yet. So we may be only able to see what you had in your application. So please know if you're taking a summer class and you know that you have that summer class and you're going to transfer that over, you're going to send your transcripts for that summer class. We may not be able to see it right now. So take that into consideration. We're only able to do the review on what we can see at this point in time. And when you go to OASIS, you can view the transfer credit review once it's uploaded in the advising records section. And we have a link here, but I will also do a demo. So when you log into OASIS, we have a test student here. So you can see the important dates listed here. You can see your advising resources listed here, and additional campus resources listed below as well. But if you got a notification and maybe you misplaced the link about your transfer credit review, you can always go to the advising record tab, click on that, and it'll be under your documents and files. All right. We also wanted to give you like a little bit of a sneak peek and like help guide you using tools for more advanced planning beyond fall quarter. So degree worksheets are the tool that we use to help track your progress towards your major requirements. So this form actually outlines your major requirements. It also shows your major GPA, which is really handy, but it does not include college and university requirements. So let's go check that out. So if you go to the degree worksheets tab in OASIS, we have some saved worksheets as examples in our test student case, but you may not have a saved worksheet yet if we haven't completed your academic plan yet. So if this is the case and you want to get a head start, you are more than welcome to go to the new worksheet section. Under Find a Worksheet, once you click on this box, you can go ahead and type the major that you are interested in. So if you pull up cognitive science as an example, you can see the different options there. You'll want to click the main one. Those are the most recent major requirements. So those are the ones that you're going to follow. So for example, cognitive science AB, pull up that degree worksheet, and it's broken down into 2 different sections. And then subsections as well, but the prep subject matter is the first main section of your major requirements. And under this section, it shows all of the courses that you have to take for this section. For instance, Intro to Cognitive Science, General Psychology, Research Methods, et cetera, et cetera. And so we will create one of these once your transcripts are uploaded to OASIS. You can use the current courses drop-down button to select the courses that apply to that major requirement. So the student has taken Linguistics 1. You can click on that, it pulls right in. If you expect to take a course in the future and you're just thinking ahead, say you want to take Intro to Cog Sci in fall quarter, this handy little thing can help you map that out. We have fall, winter, and spring quarters, and we also have summer sessions. You're not expected to take summer session classes, but you can if you want to. As you go down, the depth subject matter of the degree worksheet is listed here, and it breaks it down by the different requirements. So there's the core courses for this major: Psychology 100, Philosophy 112. You have your Group A requirement, Group B, etc., etc. So each major is different, obviously, with different courses, but all of those courses that apply to the requirements are listed here. And as you go to the bottom, you'll see that's where the major GPA is listed. And you'll also want to be sure to save your degree worksheet if you want to keep it. So we encourage you to create that degree worksheet when you have a moment to do that advanced planning, and we will help you with that if you want to make an advising appointment as well. Another great planning tool is your academic plan. And I know we're going to create a 2-year academic plan for you, but it is entirely suggested and it will have placeholders. And so at some point after you receive that academic plan from an advisor, we encourage you to go through that degree worksheet, look at the specific classes that you are interested in, see what the prereqs are for those classes, and then make your academic plan your own. You want it to be relevant to you, to your interests, and to your goals. And so in OASIS, the way that you can do that is go to Forms and Petitions. And this test student has a lot of examples here, but if you want to create a whole brand new blank academic plan, you can simply click on Submit a New Form and Academic Plan. You'll want to give your plan a little name so you know what it is, and you can differentiate it from other plans that you may make. You can make multiple plans. For example, for our Cog Sci AB student, I'll just put that in, and you can say 2-year plan. You can do double majors if you're interested in that and see what that looks like. But basically how you use this tool is as you scroll down, well, of course, spring quarter just ended for us, so it's still showing on this page, but if you are taking any summer classes, you can plug those in. If you're just starting in fall, you can go ahead and plug in classes in fall here, as well as through the rest of the year. As well as if you go to another year, you'll see a whole nother section there. And the way this works is, let's say you wanted to take that Cog Sci 1 class, the Intro to Cog Sci, you just type in the subject code, CGS for cognitive science, and then the number, and it will pull up. If you're not sure yet, and what you'll probably see in a lot of our academic plans for you are some placeholders. For example, that CGS Group A requirement. There's lots of options for that. So we're just going to put a placeholder and let you decide, which class you want to take to fulfill that option. After you have finished making your academic plan or revising it, be sure to save it so you can view it for the future. All right, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Joelle.
Hello, everybody. So I'm Joelle. I use she, her, they, them pronouns, and I'm also a staff advisor for the Yellow Cluster. As Alyssa mentioned before, we have the Transfer Student Resources website. So it looks like this when you first click on the link. Here you'll be able to find your major requirement information, the link to the transfer credit, and placement exam information. So placement exams are going to be required for chemistry, computer science, foreign language if you need to take any foreign language still, and math placements. Additionally, we have some sample schedules that you can look at. So if you still need a few lower division courses, and again, we'll be sending you academic plans for you as well, but in the future, if you want to create your own. So 2 major related lower division courses. So this could be Psych 41, the research methods course, Philosophy 13G, science, math, or anything else. And then your chemistry, calculus, programming courses that will need the placement exam information. Then we recommend doing 1 major related upper division course and taking an upper division course that's like an elective, a minor course, or doing a seminar. So that way you are getting acquainted with the campus or doing something fun to offset some of the not heavier, but like major related courses. If you need only upper division courses, then we recommend 2 major related upper division courses. And if you have completed a prerequisite at another institution, you might need to submit the prereq petition in Schedule Builder to make sure that you're able to enroll smoothly into the courses here. And in addition to the 2 major related upper division courses, again, taking another elective or minor course or doing a seminar course, just to have a nice, well-rounded schedule. We also have research and internship opportunities. So you can do research with a faculty member. There is a list of labs that accept undergrad research assistants on our website, and we have a virtual lab tour. So this is the website for the virtual lab tour, and it's a little video for Dr. Brian Trainer's lab, psychology. And this is the psychology and cognitive science research page. And this is where you can find like psych and cog sci related labs, search by lab, the PI, and get more information that way. We also have internship opportunities on and off campus. So we have the Internship and Career Center that can help place you into internships and get more information on that. We have the UC Center Sacramento internship program and the Washington program. You're able to get units for both research and internships, and then it helps prepare you for your post plan or post-graduation plans, and a career. We also have study abroad, and it's an amazing opportunity to travel, get more life experience, and see what other universities across the globe have to offer. Study abroad is available for all majors through the Global Learning Hub. So you can do summer abroad, quarter abroad, semester abroad. There's a variety of different programs that you'd be able to apply for and participate in. And they're not necessarily major specific. So if you're looking at any program, we can definitely help get the process started to see, like, can you get major related credit for any study abroad programs, or plan around a study abroad semester to make sure that you're going to be graduating on time, and to see when's the best time to take your other major related courses. And then we have our Yellow Cluster website resources. So there you'll find advising information, so how to schedule an appointment, stop by for drop-in, and our email advising addresses. You'll also find the course equivalency databases at these steps. Okay, so this is the advising website for the Yellow Cluster. And then the course equivalency that Alyssa showed earlier, and the course substitutions. The annual course schedules for psychology, philosophy, and STS. Looks like we'll be posting the 23-24 ones soon. And then our forms petitions and the career and grad school exploration pages. So the forms and worksheets have, like, requesting a major degree check, the equivalency request form, and then the variable unit form for those research and internship unit courses. And then this is the career and grad school research page that we have for all 4 of the majors. And then we have also the general catalog. So it's going to show all of the courses being offered across all departments in UC Davis. So it gives you the course descriptions, what prerequisites that are required, and major and college degree requirements. So it's a good resource to see, like, if it falls under any GEs, and how it satisfies major requirements. As far as the campus resources, we also have the Offices of Educational Opportunity and Enrichment Services, so OEOES. So it's going to be the pre-grad and pre-law advising, success coaching, workshops on time management and learning strategies, etc. The health professions advising is going to be a great resource if you're looking to get into medical school. They'll tell you what some recommended prereqs for med school are, best ways of applying, etc. The Student and Disability Center will be where you will go if you need to request any accommodations. And the Student Health and Counseling Services is going to help you with, there's resources for, like, mental health, doctor's office, etc. So you can take a look through that website. Okay, I'll pass it back to Alyssa.
Thank you so much, Joelle. All right, so I will be wrapping up our last few slides before we go into our major specific breakouts with some really good detailed information by major. But before we do that, we just wanted to remind you one last time what your summer 2023 advising options are. So we have Zoom drop-in advising each Friday dedicated to new transfer students from 10 to noon, starting next Friday, June 30th, all the way through August 11th, right before your pass times are for registering for fall quarter. And then we'll have some registration periods, like support on those days that you register as well. Drop-in is really dedicated for quick questions. Most appointments should be about 15 minutes. I should call it session. No appointment is actually needed. You just go to the link that we have here for transfer drop-in, and it just goes right to our virtual sign-in page. And you'll want to go there Fridays between 10 a.m. and noon. We also have Zoom appointments with staff advisors Monday through Friday, starting this Monday. These are optional, they're not required, but they are definitely great to have if you have more in-depth questions, if you have kind of a complex transfer equivalency kind of scenario, or if you just don't know where to start with everything, you're really confused, we can help walk you through your next steps. Again, we do recommend that you do Aggie 101 first. That's a really good foundation. Then do your Aggie Canvas modules, and then, look at your academic plan that we give you, and hopefully that will help build a foundation and then come to us with more questions from there. We have a handy little screenshot of the advising appointment system. When you go into that system, it's just simply at appointments.ucdavis.edu. When you go into that system, you'll want to select the one that's titled PSC PHI STS CGS Advising Center. That's us, that's the yellow cluster. Those are our 4 majors. And when you select that, it'll take you to where all of our advising schedules are available. You can see which appointments are open. And our appointments typically open at least about 2 weeks in advance. I think we might be opening it a little bit further out for transfer students in case you need to have that, but right now it's slow, so you may only be able to see up to those 2 weeks. All right. And as we have been emailing you, we really want to know what your interests are, what your major emphases may be. And so please, 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 if you have not already, please complete this new transfer major emphasis survey. Our kind of soft deadline is for you to do it today. So if you haven't done the survey already, please take a moment to do it. It's really quick. Just ask for your name, what major you're in, and what emphasis you want to do, as well as any like other interests you may have with a double major or a minor or careers. And that way we can create the most accurate academic plan, tailored to your interests and your goals. So we are trying to get through the academic plan creations for you within a week or 2 of when you submitted the survey. We have received a high number of survey responses kind of right now up to this point. So it'll definitely be closer to that 2 weeks right now to get through all of that. And typically we say it's best to meet with an advisor after you've received your academic plan, but it's not the end of the world if you haven't received it yet. We'll try to prioritize as best we can. But please know the appointment goes so much smoother once we have that plan for you. And there is an option within that survey. If you truly do not know which emphasis you want to pursue, that's okay. Come make an advising appointment and we can walk you through that. You can also come to our drop-in advising next Friday to talk to a peer advisor as well about the different options and have their student perspective as well. All right, so as you kind of navigate those advising options over the summer, you can also email us. Our email advising inboxes are monitored by our whole team of staff advisors and peer advisors, and it's a great way to get your quick questions answered. All right, so at this time, we will go ahead and take a moment for some general questions in the Q&A.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions about IGETC and transcripts and all of that. I know that is a hot topic and very confusing. Just a reminder, IGETC is part of your college and university requirements. So any specific questions you have about your IGETC certification should go to the College of Letters and Science, but we can try to answer some of the general questions that we've gotten. The one with the most upvotes is, do you have to submit the IGETC certification if you submitted your transcripts? Yes, you do. It is a separate document. You have to request it from your community college specifically. So if you aren't sure if it got submitted when you submit your transcripts, please contact your community college and they can let you know if they've submitted it, or if they haven't, then they can do it now. And also the IGETC certification doesn't have to be in by that same transcript deadline. It's okay if it comes in later, but the earlier the better, just so you can prepare if there is anything extra that you need to submit. So if you completed IGETC and sent the certification, do you have to take any lower division courses? Kind of depends on your major. If you've completed all of the lower division courses for your major, then typically, yeah, you would just focus on the upper division requirements that you still have left to do. You can take lower division if you have room for it in your schedule. If you're looking at an academic plan that we've made for you, it might say units to graduate. If it just says units to graduate, that can be upper or lower division. Sometimes we'll specify upper division units to graduate because you do have to reach a minimum of those, but lower division, if you have room, you can take those. Okay, more questions about transcripts. Do you have to submit high school's transcripts? What if your high school transcripts haven't been received? I'm going to just refer all of those questions to undergraduate admissions. They're going to be your go-to place about your transcript submission. We unfortunately can't answer any questions about that process or what the deadlines are for that, other than the July 1st deadline that we know about. Yeah, same thing for the other transcripts. So anything like that, just go to undergraduate admissions and they can help you out. Is the IGETC not included on your transcript? How do you get the IGETC certification? Again, you would just contact your community college to submit your IGETC certification. They would submit that specifically to the university. Okay, I think that's all the general questions that we've gotten. There were some that we answered via text or by typing, and I'll just answer a couple of those that I think are relevant to everybody. Somebody asked about the psych major being submitted as a BS. That is just the default. All students admitted as a psych or cognitive science major come in as the BS just by default. If you plan to do the Bachelor of Arts, you would just follow the Bachelor of Arts, and in your second quarter is when you can submit that official change of major form. But if you know that the Bachelor of Arts is your plan, don't stress about placement exams or STEM classes or anything like that. It's just a formality until you get to your second quarter. Somebody asked about how many classes to be taking. So we are in the quarter system. Our classes are typically 4 units each. So the minimum number of classes that you would take to be full-time would be about 3 if all of your classes are 4 units. The minimum is 12 units. We got a question about the upper div writing requirement. And I kind of marked it as answered because we were talking about it in the slide. But just a note about upper div writing. Again, that's a College of Letters and Science requirement. It's not a major requirement. So if you're looking at your OASIS degree worksheet, that's just your major requirement. So it's not going to list any of your college and university requirements because those are, again, by the separate office. And what was I going to add? So it doesn't have to be taken in fall quarter, and it doesn't have to be a major specific class. There is a major option, writing and human development and psychology. Some students like to take that, but there's also really great career related ones. So there's business writing, there's law writing, there's medical writing. So it's really up to you of which one that you take, as long as it's one of the options, UWP 101, 102, or 104. And we are putting those in the plans that we're making. We're just putting like a placeholder for that because it is something that all students have to take or test out of. Okay, I think, are there any? Yeah, all of these are about transcripts. So undergrad admissions will be your go-to place for transcript questions. Okay, so we are going to go to our major specific like breakout rooms. So we'll be able to get into more of the nitty-gritty in your major in the breakout rooms. So for psychology majors, you're going to stay here because you're just our largest group. So you're going to stay here in the main room. So don't go anywhere. And then we're going to have breakout rooms for the other majors, cognitive science, and then philosophy and STS.
And just as a quick note, because we're a little bit like shorter staffed, philosophy and STS will be combined into one, but I promise you I will answer all the questions in that room. So I'm opening the breakout rooms right now, and you should be able to see a little invite to join a breakout room, and you should see that they're titled, cognitive science, philosophy, and STS is separate. And psych, please stay in this main room. All right, we'll see you on the other side.
Okay, so while the other people are moving into other breakout rooms, we'll just get started for the psych folks. Again, if you're in psychology, don't go anywhere. You're going to stay right here. So we're going to go into more specific information about the psych major options. So if you're not sure what emphasis you want to be, we're going to talk about what the differences are, and then a little bit more about ways to get involved, things like that. Okay, so for the emphasis options, I think we mentioned this super briefly at the very beginning, but here's a little bit more in depth. So we do have 3 emphasis options for the psych major. So we have just a general Bachelor of Arts emphasis. So that is really great for somebody that is interested in double majoring. There's a lot of flexibility. Or if you're interested in focusing on like the social personality or developmental classes, that's a great option. It's good for people interested in like counseling, therapy, teaching, anything that's more focused on like the social aspects of the psych major. It's a good one. If you're still interested in the perception, cognition, biopsychology, you can still focus on those in the general emphasis. It just comes with like a lot less lower division STEM coursework. Versus the Bachelor of Science options, we have the biology emphasis, which has a lot of lower division prep courses. So biology, calculus, chemistry, organic chemistry, and then physics. It's a really great option for anyone interested in some sort of pre-med or pre-health career or research careers that are focused on the like bio-health kind of side of things. A lot of you, if you're interested in the bio emphasis, you probably did a lot of this stuff at community college, but if you didn't, you will have to do it here at Davis. And then the other Bachelor of Science option that we have is the quantitative emphasis. This has a focus on statistics. So there are 4 upper division stats classes required, and it's a great option for research and data analysis careers, because you get to focus on that like stats, data analysis kind of stuff, but still focus on psychology. All of these emphasis options have the same upper division psychology options. It'll just depend on like where you focus, and I can talk about that in more detail in a second. Okay, so in terms of your transfer coursework, the ones that are the same for all of them are the general psychology, research methods in psychology, and statistics. Those are required for no matter what emphasis of this major that you're doing. And then for the Bachelor of Arts or the quantitative emphasis, you can fulfill your biology requirement by either taking Biz 2A, Biz 2B, or a combination of Biz 10, and that's bio. We use BIS, it's not business. Biology 10, and then a combination of anthropology, that's physical anthropology, NPB 10 or MCB 10. Okay, so that's Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science Quant. And then if you're doing the biology emphasis, again, we talked about those lower division courses, so the biochem, all of that. These are all the lower division prep courses. And then for the quantitative, you have calculus, physics, and some programming to do for the lower division. So these are the things that will maybe have transferred over from your community college. So if you took these at community college, you can check assist.org, and we will be uploading a transfer credit review, noting what you have credit for, what you might still need to take. So once you submit that survey, within a couple of weeks, we'll get that uploaded to your record. Okay, and then these are the core group options for upper division psychology courses. So these options are the same amongst all of the emphasis options. How it'll differ is like how many you have to take in each group. So the Bachelor of Arts emphasis, you get to pick where you focus, but you do have to take classes in all of the areas. So you have to take at least one in each of these areas, but you'll get to pick the top 2 core groups that you want to focus on. Whereas the Bachelor of Science biology emphasis obviously focuses a little bit more on the psychobiology area. Quantitative emphasis focuses more on those core group A and B sections. And these are all listed in the degree worksheets that are available in Oasis. So it'll go into a lot more depth in that. We have a question. Can we put these sites in a document that we can have access to? So these are all in the slides that we'll be sending out along with the recording. And do any of these possibly transfer from a community college? So I'm thinking you mean what's on the screen right now, which is the upper division classes in psychology. None of these will transfer from a community college. These are all upper division classes that have to be taken here at Davis. So you might have taken a class called social psychology at your community college. It's not going to count as Psych 151 here at Davis because the class that you took at community college is lower division, whereas this is upper division. So you will still need to take all of these upper division requirements here. Okay, some of these classes I want to take in these core groups could not find in Schedule Builder. Yeah, so not all classes are offered every quarter. We couldn't possibly have enough faculty to teach all of these classes each quarter, or rooms on campus, if we're being honest. So yeah, not all of these are going to be available, but they'll be offered, you know, throughout fall, winter, spring. Some of them might be offered next year. So you'll just check Schedule Builder will show you what's available in that quarter. I also want to point out the bold sections. So the classes that are in bold are the ones that only require lower division classes as prerequisites. So you do have to meet the prerequisites for any class you want to take here at Davis. So that's Psych 1 and Psych 41. Those are the basic classes that are required for all of the upper division classes. The classes that are not bolded have other upper division classes that you'll have to take. So for example, like Psych 131 perception, that's not bolded. It requires Psych 100 as a prerequisite. So you'll just check in the catalog or in Schedule Builder, you can see what the specific prereqs are for each class. But for your fall quarter, you're going to be focusing on these classes that are in bold. So C and D are the ones for AB. Not exactly. So like I said, you do have to take a class from each of these core groups. So in the Bachelor of Arts, you have to take one class from core A, one from B, etc. But you get to pick where you focus. So then you'll take a second class in any of the core groups that you want to focus on. It's hard to explain, like it'll make more sense in the plan and the degree worksheet. And then if you make an appointment, we can go into more detail, but you get to pick where you take 2 classes. You might choose group C and D, that's pretty common, but you might choose group A and B. It's up to you on which you focus on in the Bachelor of Arts. Group C and D is more popular, but we have all of it. Somebody submitted the wrong emphasis. You can submit the survey again, just we'll update it to the most, recent one. So that's fine. If you already have a plan made, maybe email us because we'll have maybe checked you off. But yeah, you can email us that you need a new plan and we can work on that for you. Okay. Someone's typing an answer about double majoring, so I'll leave that there. So for clinical therapy, LMFT, general psych, yeah, I would just say the Bachelor of Arts in psychology is a good option for that. Because you don't need any of the lower division, like calculus, biochem, you don't need any of that for a clinical psych. You could, if you're like super interested in it, you could do that, but it's not required. How will you know how often the classes will be occurring? Do you mean like per quarter, if they're offered every quarter? You can check our annual schedules. It's not updated just yet for the upcoming academic year, but we have a link. If Annette could find the link to our annual schedules, you can bookmark it. The most basic classes, like the general intro to biopsych, intro to cognitive psych, like those classes that are intro are offered really regularly. As you get more specific, like advanced cognitive neuroscience, that's pretty specific. That's only offered maybe once a year, once in a while. But the more basic ones are offered pretty frequently. So if I already took abnormal psych in CC, I wouldn't take it again because it's in bold. So those are two separate things. So if you took abnormal psychology in your community college, again, it's not going to count as Psych 168 here at UC Davis because it's lower division at your community college, and everything you see on the screen here is upper division. So it can't count for the same thing. You don't have to take abnormal psychology here if you don't want to. You could pick a different group C class to take. But the bolding means that you can take it once you have Psych 1 and Psych 41 done. So if you have those done from a community college, you can take any of the classes that are in bold. If you want to take abnormal psychology again, even though you took one at community college, you're more than welcome to do that. It wouldn't be a repeat because again, it's upper division. So it's going to be going into more depth because it's an upper division class. So you can think of your community college classes like kind of touching the surface of these topics, but the upper division classes will really go into more detail because they're upper division. Hopefully that answers your question. Would you have to take more than 12 units per quarter to graduate in 2 years if you have AGETC completed? It really depends on your specific situation, so I can't answer that in a general sense. Sometimes you have to take 16 units. Sometimes students can graduate in 2 years with only 12 units. It really depends on how many units you're transferring over. Because you can have an IGETC certification done in 90 units, which is the minimum for transfer. But you would need to reach the minimum of 180 in order to graduate. So I would say maybe come to our drop-in advising to check on your specific situation, but the minimum to graduate is 180. So if you want to do the math on how many units you're transferring and how many units you would taking 12 per quarter, you could try that. But yeah, come to drop-in or make an appointment if you have any like specific questions like that. Okay, I'm gonna move on to our major worksheets. This is me. I lost my speaking notes. But this is what I was talking about with the major worksheets. So I'll just show you an example. So this is an example for the Bachelor of Arts. If I go to here, oh, that's going to the second page. So this is like the PDF version of our worksheet. So this is where I was showing you. So the lower division stuff, you probably have most of that done from community college. So you'll be focusing on the depth subject matter. This is for the Bachelor of Arts. So like I said, you get to pick which group you're going to take 2 classes in, which 2 groups you're going to take 2 classes in, and which 2 groups you're only going to take 1. But you do have to take 1 class in each of the core groups. So you're going to basically pick like, okay, here's going to be A, here's going to be C, and I'm only going to take 1 in B and D. Hopefully that makes sense. And then you also have electives that you'll take. Those can be any upper division psych class or classes from this list. So these are extra options of electives that you can take that are outside of the psych department. Okay. And then this one, I think, is Annette. Would you mind covering the next few questions, Annette? Or the next few slides.
Sure. Okay. Hello, so I'm Annette. I'm a peer advisor. So what counts as a psych elective? And you'll be hearing elective a lot because of the way that the major is structured, but basically it is any upper division psychology course that you have not already taken to fulfill a core requirement. So if you take, for example, developmental psych, it can only be applied to either core D or to a psychology elective. So you can only really like slot in the class in one section of that major worksheet. In addition, there are more specific kind of not like in a lecture setting classes, but Psych 192 is internship in psychology. So you can take up to 6 internship units for Psych 192 over your whole time at Davis. Psych 194, HA and HB, those are 2 classes that you take in consecutive quarters to complete an honors thesis, and you are working closely with faculty, typically in a lab, to complete this. Psych 198 is part of the study abroad, and Psych 199 is getting units for volunteering as a research assistant in a psychology lab with faculty member. So this is a really common elective that people, or this is really common way that students get credit for doing research on campus, and then it is applied towards psych electives since it's not a core course. And courses from the approved list of psychology electives come from different disciplines or different departments. And you can see kind of like the course titles here on this page, like there are classes that are related to psychology or maybe kind of like the psychological lens of another field, like Chicano studies or African American studies, for example. And these are all related to psychology and have been approved to count as an elective. So for the Psych BS science coursework, you need to be taking placement exams if you plan to take math, chemistry, and computer science. So there are also some remedial courses, but I guess if it is more applicable to your case, then you can come to advice and we'll talk to you about that and get you referred to where you need to be. But basically, I think you should be receiving information soon about calculus, chemistry, and computer science. Placement exams, there's something that you take on your own, and then the university kind of keeps track of your score. And so for the biology emphasis for psychology, you need to take the whole Biz 2 series, I believe, and you also need to take some chemistry courses. So in order to take or the recommended order for biology classes at Davis for the general series is a little counterintuitive. You take Biz 2B first, then Biz 2C, and then Biz 2A. So that's for students that have not taken chemistry yet. And if you have, then it's okay to take it in order. But a lot of people like to take it BCA. Just because Biz 2A has a lot of like chemistry related concepts. So having that background might help you do even better in the class. But again, it's up to you. And next slide. So for, is this still me or is this?
Oh, it's me.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Annette. Okay, so to circle back to the research opportunities that Annette had mentioned in the psych elective section, research opportunities are a great way to get those psych electives and also start exploring like post-grad like options to see if you want to do research after you graduate. So it's really good to make sure that you enjoy the work that the lab is doing. So you want to review the lab website carefully, first to like know how to apply and what they're looking for and when to apply, and to also read 1 to 2 of the lab's most recent publications. So getting familiar with their work is going to be beneficial to you, but also makes you a stronger candidate because there's a lot of competition for these to get into a research lab position. So knowing what they're working on is going to help a lot. You should also reach out to a professor or lab manager in advance to ask questions, learn more about the lab, and how to be the most competitive applicant. As you can see, you can search by lab, the faculty, the PI, location, or like if you want to do more of a cognitive science lab. And then for internships, earning academic credit, you can do that by looking up psych-related internships that other students have earned credit for before using the psych internship website. And then you would apply for the relevant internship position. And then once you're accepted, you would email Professor Joy Gang to see if it will be approved for academic credit. You can earn academic credit only during fall, winter, and spring quarters, not during the summer. You would earn 1 unit for every 1 unit of credit every 3 hours across 10 weeks of the quarter. And then you can earn up to 6 units of Psych 192 credit to be applied towards your psych elective. Next slide. And then you can get involved in psychology through the different clubs on campus. So we have the UPA, Undergraduate Psychology Association. Anybody can join. Psy Chi, the Psychology National Honor Society. You can join as a sophomore or junior, and I believe you would be transferring in at those, so you'd be able to get in and apply right away. And then we have other psychology and mental health related clubs. So UCD, National Alliance for Mental Illness, Project Rishi, Beautiful Mind, Man Mukti, and High Low Mental Support. You can find those on the Center for Student Involvement website. And then taking a look through there to see like opportunities are available. So I think we have couple of questions in the chat.
So we have questions about placement exams, so when you need to take the placement exams. So you should be getting information from the university about placement exams. So I would check your UC Davis email. I don't know the specific like dates for each of the placement exams, but I can try to find the websites for each of the placement exams. There is a link to all of them here on the registrar's office website. So for any of the ones that you need, I would check on their websites. Sometimes they're done like in a big group, like for orientation, and sometimes they're done when you register for the classes. You can sign up for the placement exam to like test into the class that you registered for. But I would ask any placement exam questions to the department that offers those placement exams, just because they're the ones that schedule them and they know all the details about that. We have a question. Do we still need to update our grades if you sent in your transcripts? I'm not really sure what you mean. If your transcripts had your final grades, I would say no, but sounds like maybe an undergraduate admissions question. But I would say if your grades were on your transcripts, then you wouldn't need to update them anywhere. Does a BS typically hold more weight than a BA just in general when applying to graduate school? Yeah, it's not a silly question. I mean, we get that a lot. I would say no, and our faculty also say no. It's even for graduate school, it's all about it's a holistic application. So it's about getting research experience, internship experience, whatever is related to the graduate school that you're applying to, because grad school is a really wide term that could mean a lot of different things. And also meeting the prerequisites. So, if a graduate program requires a specific prerequisite, you'll want to take that whether or not it's part of your BS versus BA. But in general, it really doesn't matter if you choose the Bachelor of Arts or the Bachelor of Science. what you really want to consider is like, what do you need it for? Like, do you need the whole background in calculus and physics and chemistry for that grad program? Then maybe it would hold more weight. If you don't, then it really doesn't matter. But it's not a silly question. Okay, we have some raised hands. But we are recording this, so we're not going to have you like unmute or anything, but if you just put your questions in the chat, we want to protect your privacy. What would you say is the most important thing for graduate school? If you could put them on a tier list: GPA, internship, research, GRE school scores, anything else? I mean, it really depends on the program. I can't really put them on a tier list, but it's really like the holistic application. Like I said, GPA, you know, is top because you do need to meet a minimum requirement to get into a graduate program. Typically it's a 3.0. At least at Davis it is. I don't know about other schools. 3.0 is typically the minimum, but you also want to have that research or internship experience. I would say research is really, really important. GRE is becoming less and less important. A lot of schools are actually not accepting that anymore. Annette, do you have something to say about grad school?
Yes. So one thing that is important for most programs, it doesn't really matter which discipline, is a letter of recommendation. So one, I think it depends on what the program is, but typically they would like at least one or maybe even two academic resources and recommenders. So that would mean a professor that you took a class with. So if you're thinking ahead about grad school, then I would recommend maybe thinking about which professors you would like to ask. And typically it's best to try to ask when they still remember you. So the quarter that you take their class, or if you attend their office hours, because they'll be able to speak from an outside perspective about what you're able to do. And it's a really strong marker, I guess, on your application.
Yeah.
But there are also professional recommendations. So like if you do research or internships, volunteering, etc., then your supervisor or someone from there could also serve as a recommender for you.
Totally. Yeah. Thanks for adding that. Letters of rec are really important too. So yeah, it's hard to say like tier them, which is most important, but they kind of all go in line with each other. And then internship versus research, that totally depends on the program that you're applying to as well. So if you're planning to do like a research-based, like a PhD program, research is probably, I would say, higher than an internship. If you're planning to do like the mental health field, counseling, psychology, that kind of thing, where you're going to be a practitioner, I would say the internship has a little bit more weight because they want to see that you know how to work with people and that kind of thing. So it kind of depends on the program. But we do have pre-grad advising. I don't know if we've mentioned that. Let me pull up that website. We have an office on campus that is fully dedicated to students interested in going to graduate school of any kind. So they know a lot about the psych options and they can help you out. Should you be worried about classes becoming full? There's a lot of classes that have incoming or seats held for incoming transfer students, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. You do always want to have some backup plans in mind in case classes do get full, because it does happen. So I would just recommend having a few classes in mind, a few different schedules in mind. But you can see in Schedule Builder, let me see if I can pull it up really quickly just to show you what it looks like. So this is when you enter Schedule Builder, you're going to pick fall quarter, and then you can go to PSC, assuming if you're in this room, you're doing psychology. So it's going to give you all the psych classes, so even lower divs, which you probably won't be taking. Oh, wait, sorry. So this is what I want to show you. Open /reserved/waitlist. So when you're looking at each class, The first number is the number of seats that are open for everybody, all students, continuing and transfer or incoming students. The second one are the seats that are reserved specifically for our incoming students, so first years and transfer. If you're a transfer student doing upper division classes, you're not competing with first year students. They're really not taking upper div. And then the last number is a wait list. So if we scroll down to the upper division classes that you'll be taking, we'll go here. So you'll see Psych 126. That's one of the classes that typically, if you've taken Psych 1 and Psych 41, which most transfer students have, you would be eligible to register for. There are 132 seats open for everybody and an additional 90 seats that are held specifically for transfer students. So that's just how you can kind of read that. But should you worry? No. Should you prepare for classes to be full? Yeah, I'm always going to say that, but you should have a backup plan. I'm going to be gone starting June 27th to July 29th. Will I still have time to meet with an advisor and make my schedule before I register for classes? Yeah, we're offering appointments all summer. So I think our 26th is full, so right before you leave, but the first couple weeks of August, yeah, we will definitely have appointments available. I would try to schedule it a couple weeks, like if you can make even 5 minutes of your time while you're gone to schedule an appointment, I would, just because as we get closer to registering, people start making more appointments, so they fill up just a little bit faster. But we should have availability in early August before you register. When does registering open? So there are, let me see, what is it? It's like August 15th, I think. Let me see if I can pull up the UC Davis transfer. Let me see if I can pull up the dates for, yeah, August 15th and 16th. Later in the summer, you should be able to check schedule builder, like up at the top. It should tell you, if I like do this, you should have like something up here that says your time, your past time. Ooh, great question. Okay, how far in advance can you make an appointment? About 2 weeks. So, you know, anywhere between 2 weeks, you can make an appointment. Can I explain what the pastime is? So I'm going to do that really quickly because we're at our time, but it is a good question. And I do think it's covered in the Canvas modules, but I'll explain it. So there are 2 pastimes that you have. So you'll get your past 1 appointment is your main time that you're going to register. And they're each a 4-hour window. So if your pastime is August 15th at 8 a.m., you have from 8 a.m. to 4 hours later, noon or whatever that is, to register for classes. Obviously, the earlier the better. I would suggest being ready to go at 8 a.m. And that's when you're going to register for pretty much your main classes. So your psychology classes. Psychology classes are reserved for psych majors in Pass 1. So in your Pass 1 appointment, you can register for your major classes. And other students that are not psych majors can't register for it in Pass 1. And then a couple days after your Pass 1, there is open hours. So it's usually like 8 p.m. to midnight is typically what open hours are. So you do have a little bit of time to make any adjustments if you need to after your Pass 1 appointment. Pass 2 happens usually a couple weeks later. So you have your Pass 2 is when you would register for any classes that you couldn't register for in Pass 1. So for example, if you want to take a sociology class, but it's reserved for sociology majors in their Pass 1, you would be able to do it in your Pass 2. It's also typically when waitlists open. So you would waitlist during Pass 1. Hopefully that answers your question. It should be covered in the Canvas modules too. So if that was like a lot of information, which I'm sure it was, it should be all written out in Canvas modules. And then someone's typing an answer to that last question. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us for our orientation starting point. And again, if you have any questions, we put our emails in the chat, and we will be sharing out these slides and the recording link shortly. So we'll be able to hopefully meet with you over the summer if you make an appointment or drop in, and we'll talk to you in the fall.